confident, you'll be just running in the wrong direction.
No result.
You see that? So enthusiasm, confidence, and patience. Those are the three attitudes. Remember, attitude is the essential thing in our spiritual life. Progress in spiritual life is dependent upon the attitude of the performer. That's in the preface. So these are three attitudes we have to cultivate. Remember the word cultivate?
Yeah.
Three favorable attitudes that we have to cultivate. Now let's see what kind of behavior we must follow. We have three. Okay, this is external. Anybody can see this. Follow the regulative principles of
Bhakti.
Bhakti. Okay, follow the regulative principles of Bhakti. Number 5, abandon association of non-devotees. When it's asked by the Lord Chaitanya, how can you recognize a devotee? He has given up the association of non-devotees. He's very careful about association. Because we're like crystals. Whoever we're around, we reflect their qualities. So you have to be very careful, especially when you go out there preaching, you have to pray to Lord Chaitanya. Devotees who do a lot of preaching, they have to pray to Lord Chaitanya for protection. There are many stories about Prabhupada with young devotees coming from the West and taking meals in the house of rich people. They were sincere, but they didn't. Their practices were fine for their level, but not for the level of Brahmacharya. And following in the footsteps of what? Previous acharyas. Right. We have to follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. So, following the regular principles of bhakti, not jnana or karma. And giving up the association of non-devotees. No, we saw that in the other one, jnana sanghas, right? Same thing, almost the reverse. And this one, following in the footsteps of previous acharyas. Right, because we are in a line. And if we wish our service to go up through the line, we have to be pleasing everybody in the line. Right? You can't be doing something that along the way, somebody up the way, wait a minute, what's this? So you have to go up through your spiritual master and through his spiritual master, and everything gets passed on up. So you have to follow in the instructions and footsteps of these previous parampara. That's why the parampara is so important. Okay, so under attitude, what were the three attitudes we have to cultivate?
Confidence, patience.
And what are the three behaviors we have to follow?
Follow the regulated principles of bhakti.
Follow the regular principles of bhakti. And next?
Abandon association of non-devotees.
And number 6?
Follow the footsteps of previous acharyas.
Right. So these 6 now. Now can you turn to your study partner? And can you quickly explain 3 attitudes and 3 behaviors that must be cultivated for the favorable execution of the business? So now you have this in mind and you have it in your memory.
Abandon association of non-devotees. Follow in footsteps of previous acharyas.
Yeah.
Such an amazing just force. Alright, so now, how is your mental photograph doing? Good? You see your topic, you see the green paper, you see the page, you see the term attitude, behavior. You remember the introductory statement, conclusive statement? Yeah. Right. And now we're learning the points that take us from the introductory statement to the conclusive statement. And we know there are two categories, attitude and behavior. Internal, our internal state, and our external practices. And they're clusters, 3. So our internal state is what?
Enthusiasm, confidence, patience.
Our external behavior is what?
Following the regulated principles of bhakti, abandon the association of non-devotees, following the footsteps of previous acharyas.
Following the footsteps of previous acharyas. So now we're ready to fill in a little bit more. Because at each step, if the framework is progressive, the details fill in nicely. If you try for details before framework, the details can't anchor. And if I start to paint little leaves here and there and there and there, but I don't know particularly where they are in relationship to something else, the retention doesn't stick because the understanding is folded. Understanding, what we're doing here is strengthening understanding. Retention is strengthened through understanding. Isn't it? You find it? If you understand something because it's systematic, it's progressive, it's based on structure, then details fit in nicely. All right, let's look under each of these 6 items. How many points do we have under enthusiasm? 3. How many do we have under confidence? 2. How many do we have under patience? 2. How many do we have under, now let's go to the behavior side.
3.
3 under following regular principles. How many do we have under abandon? 2. And how many do we have under following the footsteps of previous acharyas? Yeah, we have actually, 2. She has actually just, is it 1 with a little star?
Yes. There's a star.
Right. So now, this totals 3 and 2 is 5, 7, 10, 12, 13. Now, normally, if we asked you to remember 13 points off the bat, it would be too much.
Yeah.
But now, if you know where to categorize them, you can. You can practically, structure this whole page. So here, the first thing he does is he's defining, in 2 of them, what is enthusiasm. And then in the last point, he's telling you, well, even materially you have to be enthusiastic. Everybody has to be enthusiastic to succeed in anything, right? The capitalist who's trying to come up with new software, if he's indifferent, will he be enthusiastically able to do it? No. You have to be enthusiastic. So here he defines enthusiasm. Endeavor executed with intelligence. Not that I just run around and I don't know what I'm doing and create havoc. You see the monkeys, they're very active. But it's destructive because there's no intelligence there. Or it's a destructive intelligence that they exercise in their role. So endeavor executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness, because there are a lot of atheists who are intelligent. Duskritina, not sukritina. It's called utsaha, or
Enthusiasm.
Utsaha. So endeavor, endeavor is with I. Intelligence in Krishna consciousness is called utsaha, or
Enthusiasm.
So we have to remember there has to be endeavor, it has to be executed with intelligence and in Krishna consciousness. And that we call utsaha, enthusiasm. That is enthusiasm. So it's not just rah, 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 hello, 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 cheer, cheer, cheerleader. No, you have to have intelligence in Krishna consciousness. Next, enthusiasm means action. Right. Endeavor. It's another synonym. But for whom should we act? For Krishna. Right. Not for the country, not for the society, not for friendship, love. Now, those can be dovetails. Right? We're not saying don't do that. But the ultimate objective is to please whom? Krishna. That's the ultimate objective for dovetailing. Now, a general statement, which is true. Broader statement. Without enthusiasm, one cannot be successful, even materially. Everybody agree?
Yeah.
Right. You see the materialists out there that they're doing well? They work hard. They're austere. And they're enthusiastic. They're enthusiastic. They work harder sometimes than devotees. Climbing mountains, swimming to get the Olympic gold medal, working hours and hours to dance on stage for the movie cameras and Bollywood. They work hard. So now we know 3 things about enthusiasm. It has to be executed with intelligence in Krishna consciousness and right. And that is called enthusiasm or utsaha. And it means action for Krishna. And finally, we realize everybody who wants to succeed, materially or spiritually, has to be enthusiastic. I can tell you personally that the teacher I had when I was in college, my art teacher trainer, he didn't know Krishna consciousness, he didn't know NOI, but he used to stand in front of our class every day and tell us, you've got to be enthusiastic, just like this. He said, you're standing in front of 30 inert bodies. And by the law of inertia, it's very hard to move an object that is stationary. You have to move 30 bodies and get them to be enthusiastic about art. So it was understood. He was like that as a coach. You gotta be enthusiastic. And if they go in the classroom and you were just sort of like, it's a time, finished. So that's there. It's there. Endeavoring with confidence. How do we become confident? We have to surrender, but be confident of what? Our own ability?
Krishna's mercy.
No, Krishna's mercy. Krishna can take away our ability. The minute we think it's, Prakriti Kriya Manani, Krishna can pull it away and show you. Okay? I gave you that borrowed plume, now I'm going to take it away. So we depend on His mercy. And the next thing is we have to be confident of the goal, which is Krishna, pure unalloyed devotional service. And nothing else in this world will produce any enduring benefit. At the time of death, the materialist has nothing. Nothing. Zero. Everything's taken away. And still they work so hard. So we have to be confident that nothing else out there, you wouldn't be doing devotional service unless you were completely convinced of that. Nothing out there has any enduring benefit. Only devotional service. And you have to be confident of the goal, and you have to depend on Krishna's mercy. That is endeavoring with confidence. It's not confidence in your own ability. That Krishna will really show, he'll finish you off on that one. The minute you become proud of your position, next day, guess what? He'll put a banana peel in front of you. Okay, patience. Devotional activities must be executed with
Patience.
depending on the mercy of
Guru and Krishna.
And successful execution of devotional Krishna conscious activities requires both patience and confidence. Right, if you're going to execute something, you have to be confident, but you have to be patient. That's more goodness. Patience. They give examples of the really married girl. Yeah, she won't have a child the first day.
Yeah.
You know, it's not possible. Okay? Now the behavior. 3 points. Neglect of regular principles will destroy the devotional service. Right? The 4 regs. Any one of those will create. Next, if you become slack in following them, progress will be checked. That includes your chanting must be there. One has to become callous to non-permanent activities and turn his attention to the regular business. Right? He has to become indifferent to non-permanent activities. And everything out there is non-permanent. Whether you build a skyscraper, you know, win the Miss Universe contest, whatever, it's a flash in the pan. In the course of eternal time. And your devotional service is eternal. Your credit's always, it's an eternal bank account. The other one, like your cell phone, you have to recharge. All your material activities you have to keep recharging. And then, but you still have nothing at the end once you use up your credit. Next, give up the association of 3 kinds of people. Karmis, Gyanis, Yogis. And you should live in the association of devotees. And that's why these centers have been designed so we can all come together as we really now. Do you think any of us would be anywhere if we were back out in the material world without the structure of Krishna consciousness? For whatever its glories or its faults, I'd hate to see the world without it. Right? And the next one, following the footsteps of the previous acharyas means be expertly filled every moment with Krishna conscious activities. Every moment of your day. Do something for Krishna. Or for Lord Chaitanya's mission. Because that's really our goal. Trying to serve the mission of Lord Chaitanya. Okay, so you all got this map down? I think when you read your text now, it should be pretty easy. Okay. Let's go to our next map. This one's not so hard. Everybody likes to give and receive prasadam. Everybody likes to give and give gifts, give and receive gifts. The challenging one is to whom you reveal your mind. Right? That's a little, you have to be careful about that one. How to ask a question of the right person. Otherwise, it could be dangerous. You know, some people don't know how to value confidentiality. And they may not be advanced enough to appreciate how to handle your problem sincerely. Maybe it's not ill-intentioned, but they're just not advanced enough to know how to deal with an issue. So you really have to seek out trustworthy, elevated, and well-wishing devotees you can trust. So this one we can do pretty quickly. What's our first topic? Tradition text 4, walk-through map. We've got that down. We have, what's our center map thing? 6 types of loving exchange. 6 types of loving exchange. 6. So we have number 6. And underneath, an important little statement from the Bhagavad Gita. One's desires and ambitions. 2 things. Your desire and your ambitions develop according to the company one keeps. So Prabhupada says if you hang around drunkards, you'll want to be a drunkard. And if you want to be a devotee, you should be in the association of devotees who are well-wishing, like-minded, and more advanced. Then your desires and your ambitions will be properly directed for your benefit. If you start spending your time with a lot of other people who are non-devotees or who their philosophy isn't quite so favorable, or they're very negative or something like that, then before you know it, you'll be like that too. You'll be like that too. So you have to be very discriminating. Positive. Your desires, your ambitions, and I think even you can see from today, now you know the goal. I want bhakti, right? Maybe today you weren't so clear on that. Now you know, that's what I have to have. I have to get to that. 6 types of loving exchange. And actually, Prabhupada said this should be a society of friendship and love and trust. If we don't find love and trust amongst devotees, where will we look for it? Outside. And it's not out there. So what will happen to our spiritual life? So what does that tell about us? We should be loving and we should be trustworthy. Because we have to offer it. And we have to find people who are similar. So it's up to us to offer it. It's up to us to be trustworthy. Because otherwise, what's the alternative between spiritual and material life? Is there any? No? Sort of try. And you probably keep looking for something in the wrong place. So this is very important. And you're always in the association when you're studying the books. You're in the association of Rupa Goswami right now. Right now you're in his company. Believe it or not. So now, offering and accepting gifts, 1 and 2. What's the best gift you can give? The Holy Name. Well, first let's go over our topic. Offering and accepting gifts in charity, 1 and 2. Revealing mind, inquiring confidentially. That's 3 and 4. And 5 and 6 are what?
Offering
and accepting prashadam. And that's always a simple way, because prashadam is powerful. Many devotees became devotees just because of prashadam. Even if they didn't understand the books or anything, but just the taste of prashadam. Because spiritual life begins with the tongue. By vibrating the holy name and by taking prashadam, someone's spiritual life is started. So giving prashadam is important. Okay, 1 and 2, offering and accepting. Gives the entirety. Revealing the mind and inquiring confidentially, not just all over the place on a loudspeaker. And 5 and 6, offering and accepting prashadam. Now that's pretty easy. Now here, under the points, we'll go through this quickly because we want to do one more map before we do our overview of Bhagavatam. Distribution of the holy name is the highest charity. Highest charity. Hare Krishna, that's the best charity. The greatest gift is the holy name and the opportunity to inquire about Krishna consciousness. Since Krishna consciousness is inherent in every living entity, everyone should be given a chance to hear about Krishna, especially to hear the holy name. Yeah, because even if the person's out there and he doesn't know anything about Krishna consciousness, his Krishna consciousness is within his heart. It's dormant. Okay? And then they have support verses here. Shikshamrita, Chaitanya Charitamrita. I don't know, I forgot HTT teachings. And see, I'm in the Jharkhand forest. Oh, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Jharkhand forest. Devotees should spend 50% of their income in the service of the Lord and his devotees. And they have income. Alright? So now you know what's the highest charity? Giving the holy name. Right, and information about Krishna consciousness. A chance to hear about it. That's why these centers are open, so people can come in here. You know, at night they go to the Gita class, in the morning all kinds of people hear the Bhagavatam talk. We hear it on the radio. I tell you, I couldn't live if I didn't have that radio on. Yeah, radio's on morning class, evening class. And even if the speaker isn't the most erudite or the most amazing, you still want to listen, because Krishna's speaking through him. Something will be important. And experienced devotee explains to an inexperienced devotee. Right, don't make it the other way around. Don't inquire from someone who's brand new and doesn't know anything. What should I do about this? Should I be a brahmachari or should I get married? And then you're just talking to some guy who's working for a company out there and he's not even interested in Krishna consciousness. He's not going to know what to tell you. Members and supporters inquire about devotional service and devotees explain. So when people come to the temple and they're not practicing Krishna consciousness to the level you are, then you just help them with answering their questions in Hindi. Tell them about Krishna. You don't talk about something. You might say, "Oh, how's your family?" That's okay. Something simple. But you don't get into any intimate thing. And here is the secret. This is coming from Bhakti-yoga. When is it wrong to give gifts and exchange gifts with non-devotees or inquire? If there's affection, that will be binding. If you can do it with a mood of preaching and detachment, that's not dangerous. But the minute it starts to get affectionate, then it's binding. To be fair. That affectionate, that's coming from Bhakti. When is that not recommended? If the person's not spiritually inclined or not on your platform, and then that affection starts to set in, that's dangerous. You can care about family members, this and that. I have family members in the West who are completely mystic. They want to hear a word about Krishna or nothing. So I can feel compassion for them on the level of jivas. But as family members, I can't get emotionally involved. It won't work. Okay? And offering, accepting prashadam, the arranged festivals, Sunday feasts, lavishly distribute prashadam. I think some of you that saw that presentation by, what was that devotee from California? I can't remember his name now. So amazing. I heard it on the radio. Did you see it?
No, I didn't. I was on the radio.
Yeah, boy, the prashadam distribution going on around the world. Temples opening up, and projects here and there, and little dogs distributing books. Members and supporters invite devotees to their homes for prashadam. And here you have to be careful, because Prabhupada would take his devotees to some house, and they would be eating food that was going around on a circular tray, and everybody was serving and not washing their hands. And the next morning, Prabhupada said, let's pack up and go. Just tell them we had another engagement. You know? Not that they disrespected. For those people, that was okay, but for the devotees, that's not okay. Okay? So, text 4, you know the basis of that one?
Yeah.
Okay. How to, using the introduction, how to perform devotional activities in the association. These 6 kinds of loving exchanges are essential. And in the end, is a negative injunction that we should refrain from giving anything, accepting anything from Mayavadis and atheists, nor should we speak with them, associate with them, confide in them, or seek their advice. Indeed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was forbidden devotees to associate even with ordinary men who are too addicted to material sense gratification, because you become infected. Like if you eat food from someone who has a disease, right? The person has typhoid, and you eat something from their brain, or you'll get typhoid.
Why we cannot give them?
If you can give them something Krishna conscious, but you have to be really careful because it becomes binding. Prabhupada's pretty strict on this. Problem these days, even my bodies don't know what my body is. I've heard many speakers who said, it's hard to find a real my body. You know, it's just like, I'm a my body. They don't even know what that means. You know, they've got the dot, you know, like that. They don't know. But it's important for us to know. Okay? Now, text 5, really fast. We get some more charts here. This is so important because here we have three types of devotees. Kanishtam, Madhyam, and Uttaman. You know how the criterion goes up for each one? Right? Text 5 is a walkthrough map. Kanishtam, that's the 3rd stage. 2nd is Madhyam, middle stage. Uttam, topmost stage. Now, each of these stages is progressive, and hopefully, everyone should be, hopefully, if not in this lifetime, to come to the Uttama stage. At least Madhyam. At least do that. And your desire to study as you're doing now is a symptom of that desire. So they have here notes on Diksha and notes on chanting. And who should be qualifying? Actually, there are 2 things described here. Not only the eligibility to perform devotional service, but also the level of the devotee and how to tell. In order to intelligently apply the sixfold loving reciprocations. Now this is a carryover of verse 4.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to relate to someone, you have to know what's appropriate. If the person is very advanced, then you relate differently from a person who's less advanced. One must select proper persons with careful discrimination. What does that say? Careful discrimination. And you have to know the criteria so you can discriminate. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore advised that we should meet with the Vaishnavas in an appropriate way according to their particular status. In text 5, he tells us how to recognize and deal with 3 types of devotees: the Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari. So you get the Kanishta described, the Madhyam described, and the Uttama. Now one has to at least be a Madhyam to discriminate. Because the Kanishta can't. That's his first symptom. He won't recognize him. He won't recognize anything. He'll recognize the deity. Krishna's in the deity. But he may punch you with his elbow on the way to go see the deity. Because he doesn't see the deity in the heart of the other living entity. So if you've received Harinam and you're trying to chant, that's one thing. And you're interested only in worshiping the deity. And you behave inappropriately with devotees. Right? And your faith is soft and pliable. You think, oh, maybe I shouldn't have given up Christianity. We've had a lot of cases like that. People who go back to their faith. You know, they miss their people. I remember we had a wonderful nurse in our school like that, from Ireland. Finally, I guess she got initiated. Well, I want to be with my people. But she's not aware this is a temporary relationship. I want to be with my people. My culture, my religion. So there'll be that strong carryover from. They didn't progress past that stage. It's all progressive. The Madhyam, he's initiated and he's engaged in devotional service. Krishna is the object of love. He's friendly with the devotees. He's merciful to the innocent, and he avoids the envious. He knows the Shastra, but not very strong. Can't necessarily argue and convince. But he has faith in chanting the holy name. And he's undeterred in his devotional service practice. He's a Shraddhavan, staunchly faithful. He's faithful, but he may not be vastly connected. Uttama is association and service. You serve the Uttama. Like I know this Mataji likes to iron clothes. She's very good at serving her spiritual master. Serving of the spiritual master. This is very, very fortunate opportunity. Really, isn't it? Yeah. His association and his service are most desirable. Even, does he stay at your house?
Sorry?
Does your spiritual master also stay with your house in your house?
No, he stays, he comes for prasadam.
But
Doesn't
you cook,
stay.
But you cook, right?
He doesn't stay.
No, but you cook for him, right?
Yeah.
Right, she cooks for him and probably irons some clothes. And she irons Prabhupada's clothes. You know, nice service. This person is not interested in blaspheming others. Actually doesn't have the propensity even to criticize. Not only that he won't, some people may not say something, but inside they're thinking something. But this person won't even think anything. His heart is clean, completely realized, and unalloyed. He's a realized devotee. He's seriously engaged. He strictly follows the rules. He chants the prescribed. He's always concerned on how to expand the mission. Uttama. Ut means above, and Tama means darkness. He's transcendental to the darkness of the material world. He's always thinking of Krishna and how to spread the holy name. He can be accepted as a guru and recognized by his ability to bring many Vaishnavas, many to Vaishnavism. He's empowered. He's empowered. If someone can bring many, many people, you know, I think somebody was comparing, like Jesus Christ had 12 disciples in one book. That's nothing against Jesus Christ because he had a hard audience. But then you consider Prabhupada wrote 100 books, 5,000 disciples, all these temples. You can see the potency, the relative potency of different. Because even Jesus Christ is considered a Shakta Vaishnava. But comparatively, you'll see the relative potency and output. Okay, notes on Diksha. When you accept Isha, you should be ready to prepare to practice austerity, celibacy, control of the mind. Interested in transcendental subject matter, inquisitive. You gotta be, and you gotta be austere. Without that, don't do it. No sound chanting. Know that chanting offenselessly is the only way to be a proper candidate for advancement. Be regularly chanting with respect to Vaishnavas. And if you engage in it, the Maha Mantra, you actually realize your own identity. And then unless you faithfully chant the mantra, Krishna will not reveal himself. Faithful service begins with the tongue. Brilliant charts. Aren't these charts out? You know, one page you get the chapter.
Yeah.
One page you get the chapter. Okay. So now we're going to shift gears really fast. We got 10 minutes to get to Bhagavatam. I hope we're just sort of boom. And normally I like to do more interaction, but these charts, if we actually know these charts, I think you get the material through them. So we've done 3, and 4,
And 5.
and 5. 3 was the attitude and the behavior of favorable practices, right, for devotional service principles. The next one is 6 loving exchanges. Right, giving and accepting gifts, inquiring and offering advice confidentially, giving and accepting prasad. Everybody wants to do that. Everybody wants to do this. That's always a safe bet. And then this last one is 3 levels of eligibility. The Kadishta, the soft, pliable one. His faith is not strong, his knowledge is very meager, and he can leave. And actually, in time he will. He will. It's just a matter of time. He will. So that is why Prabhupada said, at least come to the mind of the chapter. Because then you'll be faithful. If your faith is weak, your knowledge is meager, it won't take too much to lure you to something else. Some material or some perhaps lesser evolved stage of spiritual practice. And all of them are important. I mean, if you read Jnana Dharma, it says how even there, anyone who actually practices, be it Mohammedanism, Christianity, the Christian Judeo faith, the Jewish tradition, if they actually strictly follow, the problem is many people don't even know, nor if they know, do they care to follow. But they actually progress to higher, and that's the same thing in bhakti. We may be practicing Vaidhi sadhana, but our desire is to go to Raganuga and Bhav, right? So we're practicing to progress. That is the goal. Positive, progressive advancement in spiritual life. So now you have your little study guides and you have your little charts from the second canto with 10 chapters. So what we'll do really quickly is we'll open up our computers. When you got to our interaction. And we're going to open up SV, right? Because we went to a little time with Bhagavatam. We don't want to forget the Bhagavatam. Again, you have your audiobooks. Play those. You can play some of the Narayana version on selected. You can actually, I know I press my play all button. And in a short period of time, I can listen to the recitation of all the verses in Canto too.
Yeah.
I just put it on in the morning, and then I've done that. And I listen to a Prabhupada lecture every morning. And then today I listen to Purnachandra's, especially 3, 4, 5. So now your computer shows Srimad Bhagavatam. And now you're going to click to the second canto. And the computer cursor will show that it has 10. And in the Narayana study guide, we're going to see that 10 is also the subject matters of the Bhagavatam. 10 subjects are presented in the second canto. So on our first mind map, we will have that. Alright, so we have 10 and we have 3 divisions. So first of all, Canto 2 has how many chapters?
10.
And how many divisions?
3.
These are called sections or divisions. So we have 3 dots. We'll move through this very quickly because you're all quite practiced in this. This is sort of, you move to a higher level now. You're going more deeply into everything. You know the importance about structure too. Because very quickly on your mind, you have to get yourself righted. like when you wake up in the morning, you have to remind yourself, oh, I fold up the blanket, I go open it out, I wash the floor. You have to sort of get your mind into gear. And it takes a while, coming out of 6 hours or more of sleep. And, you're still in a fog. And you have to throw some cold water on your face and mop the floor. And I start running out in the hallway and running the squeegee around just to get my body moving again. I don't know if I ever pull out of ignorance, but I try to, just keep moving the body so, you overcome 6 hours of. So we know right now we're getting ourselves geared up. Okay? So we have 10 chapters. And on our chart, we see what's the breakup on that?
3 sections.
3,
4, 3.
3. Yes. 3, 4, 3. 3 for the first topic, 4 for the second section, and 3 for the final section. 3, 4, 3. Y'all catch that? You've got quite a few little maps there. These are going to confuse it. But if you look for the one that says 210 in the middle, okay. So we have that. We know that now. We're in the second canto, and it has 10 chapters. This is understood to be we're moving up on the body of the Lord. This is the upper portion of his foot. 10 toes. 10 toes. We had 19 foot marks on the bottom, so you can see. Now he has 10 toes. We'll be reading about the universal form extensively in this canto. Which planets are his lower souls and his shanks and his beings. Well, in some books we have, but because I don't have a reference for that, the person who's written the books, I'm afraid to present it. But I have a book which defines even where the eyelashes are and the eyebrow and the chin and which canto and which chapter they have. But without authoritative reference, I find it interesting and probably likely, but without a reference, it might be just someone's creative imagination. But we do know that Krishna has 10 toes. We know that. All right? And it's a good memory link. Our first topic is wide need. What's that called?
Yoga processes.
Yoga processes. Right, yoga processes. 3 chapters will be about yoga processes. Okay? Our next topic is going to be UF. The universal form. We're going to have 4 chapters that elaborately describe the universal form. And then we have 3 chapters about the creation. And in this, in the 9th of the 10 chapters, we have the chapter Shloki. That's what we have included on one of your charts. The 4 seed verses of the entire Bhagavatam. These 4 slokas, from which on these 4 slokas, the entire Bhagavatam expands. This is just how we were talking the other day about expanding when you write. You take a word, and then you take a phrase, and then you take a clause, and then a sentence, and then a paragraph, and then you take, suddenly you have 12 cantos. So it expands on these 4, just the way the Bhagavad Gita expands on the 4 seed verses in the 10th chapter, right? 10.8, 10.9, 10.10, those are the 4 seed verses. So in the Bhagavatam, it's 933, 934, 935, and 936. So in the 9th chapter, we will see the 4 slokas that are the essence, the seed of the Bhagavatam. And in the 10th chapter, in the first sloka, we will see the 10 subject matters listed. Okay? So we want to quickly learn that today, those, and get instructed. So yoga processes,
Universal form, creation.
So quickly clear your screen and put it down again from memory now. Try not to refer to your chart. See if you know got your screen. The computer sometimes is a little slow, so you have to slowly gear up. It takes a while for the information to come on the screen. You have the information on your screen. And we'll write on the screen too, if you check with your neighbor, so you can make sure that you have repeated it as well as written it. Remember, you hear it, you see it. Now if you speak it, you deepen your retention. This gets easier, doesn't it? You notice when you first started you were,
I know.
but now this is not pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of practice. Prabhupada said even memory can be improved just by cultivation, just by practicing, and knowing skills by which you can build your retention. You find it easier to remember things as you go through it. So now you know the structure of the 10th canto, its size, and we're going to write again we're going to write 9.3, I'm sorry, I'm going to start. Canto 2,
Chapter 9.
Chapter 9,
Section 3.
text 33 to 36. And what does this mean?
Chapter Shloki.
Chapter Shloki. Canto 2,
Chapter
Chapter
9,
9,
33 to 36.
5,
to 30. It's very important to know. So erase that and write those numbers again quickly. It's important. A beautiful verse. Very profound. Now, we're going to write one more sloka, SB. Chapter 10, verse 1. Last chapter 10, and the first sloka. This sloka lists the 10 subjects matter of the entire Bhagavatam.
Okay.
And we want to do that really quickly. Now, if you have Narayani's book in your tray, if you open it, there are two maps in there for Canto 2. One is the map for the chapter breakdown. But on the next section, it will be the subject. So see if you can find the chart that gives you the 10 subjects of the Bhagavatam. Because again, this is a very important thing. And what we'll do the next time we meet, we will learn the chapter titles. I don't think we have too much time. We can read through them today, but it's important to learn the 10 subjects. Because this is very, very... Did you find this, the map that shows the 10 subjects? Okay. Now the easy way to remember these is we're going to do a circle in the middle, and we're going to put 3 other circles. Because when I analyzed this, and I don't know how correct I am, but I found if I took 3 circles and gave each of them 3 eyelashes, right?
Yeah.
That totals 9 subjects. And the 10th one is in the middle. The 10th one is the goal, Krishna. the ashraya, the shelter, the samabodhi. And when I looked at the other ones, because memorizing 10 sounds a little difficult, but the secret to study is to break it down. So I clustered things. That way, if I cluster things, then I can manage it. Right? If I take it all at one time, it's too much. I noted that the first cluster of 3 had to do with the physical creation itself. The next cluster of 3 referred more to the entities within the creation. Like this is the place and these are the people. And then the last 3 were the progressive stages towards attaining the goal, which is Krishna in the middle. I found that, I mean, I don't know, I didn't hear anybody else say it, but it just appeared to me that way. And it makes sense. You have a creation, you have to fill it with people. Like, Prabhupada says, how can these atheists look at all those planets and assume that God would make all those planets for nobody? It's just like you said, obviously people build suburbs, like in Noida, Gurgaon, you see all these things going up. These people aren't building those things and thinking they're going to keep them empty. Maybe if there's economic crash, they will be, but they're not building them on that hope. They're not putting up those buildings to keep them empty. You think God would be creating all these planets so there's nobody there? Not so likely. He's not that foolish. They just have different kinds of bodies. This is earth body. And then there are fire bodies. And I heard Prabhupada say, because people say, oh, living entities can't live in fire. Prabhupada said, you want me to tell you something? He said, if a man takes even 1 grain of arsenic, what happens? Immediately. Poison goes to the body immediately. Just like you take honey with Ayurvedic medicine. Honey makes the medicine go through your body. Prabhupada said, there are worms that can live in arsenic.
There are worms.
Yes. They can live in arsenic. So who's to say that when there's a fiery planet or a watery planet or this kind of planet, that some living entities can't live that environment? It's completely insane, really. I had no idea that there are living entities that can live in arsenic. And I know that it takes, I like to boil water. It takes 15 minutes to boil the water because there are entities that can live in boiling water for 15 minutes. Microbes. So if you don't boil it for 15 minutes, you might get sick. Let's just say you go somewhere and you don't know what the drinking water's like. You have to boil it at least 15 minutes. Because there are some entities that can live in the boiling water for that long. So who's to say that the planets don't live? So anyway, that's back to our idea of creation, inhabitants, and the laws by which they proceed to the goal. Because the material world is created so the living entities have an opportunity to go back to Godhead. That's said in the Gita. Did you all know that? The whole material creation is an opportunity for the living entities to, by yajna, right? Prescribed sacrifice to go back to God. Yes, this is how we can go back. This is why it's all created here. It's a prison house, but the Lord comes here to give us laws by which we can, by performance of yajna, please Him and come back to our spiritual position. So the first
3.10.
3.10. Right. Did I say something? What did I say? In the Bhagavad Gita.
Living entities.
Right. And in the Bhagavad Gita, that it is explained that the material creation is created for the purpose. So the living entities, they could go back and see the purpose. It's also in another purport later when they talk about living entities and what's the purpose of the material. So you'll find that, like it said, the Lord sent forth generations of men and demigods, right? So that by yajna they can satisfy Vishnu. And also go back. So here we're going to find the same thing explained in the Bhagavatam. So the first thing we get is creation. C. Doesn't show up so much. Then SC. Secondary creation. So your first one is what?
Creation.
Then you get secondary creation. And then after you create something, you have to maintain it. Right? Did you find that?
Yes.
If you don't maintain something, your body, your clothes, your house, it disintegrates, it deteriorates. So maintenance. Yeah. So your first step is what?
Creation.
Creation. And then secondary creation. And then maintain it. So we had shown symbols for that. Creation, we showed the bubbles coming out of Vishnu. Right? Out of Vishnu. And then the next one is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, secondary. And then maintenance, that's actually Vishnu. Maintaining the planetary system. Now let's see what we have for the people who live there. P, protecting the devotees, Poshana. Poshana. Then the opportunity to perform action. T, karmic activities. Impetus for karma activities. They have to be doing something. Poshana, then Uti, creative impetus. And then M, Manvantar has come to give the laws for mankind so he knows how to live. He has to live according to laws. And those are given by the Manvantaras. The Manus, 14 in the day of Brahma. So we have creation, secondary creation, and maintenance. That's here. Then we have Poshana, protection. Then we have karma, impetus for action, and the laws of mankind. The reigns of Manu. They give the law books. Now the next step, Ishanu Kata. Pastimes about the Lord. Knowledge about the science of God. Isha, the controller. Ishanu Kata. Books about the Lord. Ishanu Kata. Now, how do we get to Krishna? We have to hear about it, right? And then next is liberation. I'm sorry, Nirodha. Then the whole thing has to be wound up again. Nirodha, winding up the cosmic manifestation. And then liberation. Mukti. Mukti has different meanings for different levels of knowledge. But according to the Bhagavatam, mukti is attaining your spiritual form. That's ultimate mukti. Other levels of mukti are partial or temporary. And finally, A is Ashraya. Smumono, a shelter. Ashraya means shelter. Who's our shelter? Krishna. So you see the progressive step now for the material creation. Creation, secondary or sub-creation, maintenance, P for protection, Poshana, T, karma, activities, impetus for action. Manvantara is giving the laws of God so we can follow them nicely. Knowledge of the Lord through Kata, Ishana, the science of God. Nirodha, winding up the creation, liberation, and finally, Samamona. So those are the 10 subjects of the Bhagavatam. So you want to quickly see if you can close your book and erase your slate and try to put it down. See if you've got that. That's a very important thing. Next time we'll memorize the chapter titles, and we'll also be analyzing the Shloki and reading from the book. We can be reading from the condensed version. Second canto is very beautiful. It's actually very beautiful. We had a very rigorous class today. Charts and text. But we have to try to cover a lot. Because time is going quickly. And We have to complete NOI by the end of this month. Homework questions? Your homework for NOI, you should try to see if you can get all this done if you're going to be doing it by the end of February. That shouldn't be too bad. Those questions are easier. And then slokas, we want to start practicing because we've gone over the first, second, and third one. We know insurance, we just have to feel into insurance. English and Sanskrit people. And listen as much as you can, then you'll find your reading is easier. Your reading is much easier. I'll have the breakdown of Canto 2 and 10 subjects. You know that I'm going
Liberation means that spiritual What is liberation? Which she was mentioning that nothing not necessary. Liberation doesn't mean liberate the soul. The actual spiritual part is liberation.
Pretty intense class today.
इसको समझ आती है बंद कर दो
Mentally exhausted.
ये understand
Too much? Was it too heavy?
I think we're
Yes, yes. For some people, it's a little
Right your neck.
But hearing it again and again and again.
easier.
I have your neck.